morning, Turfs Up Radio. Wayne Voles, Profits Unlimited, coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, my goodness. We got a great show planned for you today. Holy shnikes. Here we are rolling around on another Monday, March 9th. Can you believe it? Yes, we got a pretty nice day going on. It's cloudy right now, but kind of foggy cloudy. I think it's supposed to clear up and get pretty nice out today. So we're looking forward to the sun popping on out here and looking good. Hope you guys have had a great start to your day this morning with the Turf Nerds and Eric Jones and Daniel with the Pump Station. And here we are, Profit Time, coming to you live. Yes, we are live on this March 9th. Hard to believe it. Almost 1/3 of the way through March, and we'll see what's going to happen. Looks like we got a pretty good weather today, and tomorrow's looking kind of maybe a little bit of a wet start, but then should be okay. So, and then a kind of maybe a little bit of a drippy Wednesday. Who knows? We'll find out. Maybe some severe weather moving in later Wednesday, but that's too far ahead. I'm not even going to bother my buddies at BAM yet trying to get something dialed in at this point, but I'm sure they'll help us. So, hey, clocks got moved up Saturday. Hope everybody's recovered from that. I know a lot of people got different ideas on, whether they're liking that or disliking it. A lot of people are saying, man, don't care which way we go, just keep it one way. And I don't know. That's kind of the way I am with it. I kind of like the daylight darker, though, just me personally, But I know there's the other side that says, well, the school buses, and I get all that too, but yeah, just pick a side, man. This flipping back and forth is, I don't know, just I don't really care, really. That's the biggest problem we got to worry about. Oh my gosh. I think we got more things to worry about than if we're going to be on daylight savings time or not. So, but hey, if that's what you want to worry about, that's what you want to think about, hey, that's cool. Just curious. Hey, everybody should have been at least early to work today, right? With time moving up, would that get you early or late? That'd get you late, wouldn't it? Yeah, if time moved up, it'd be like, yeah, if you weren't paying attention, they should have got early, but right? Yeah, where it's 9 now. So hell, I don't know. I just pay attention and move my clock up. So I'm on the right time. So hell, I got to think about that, right? So if I wouldn't have changed my clock, it'd been earlier. So I'd have been late. Yeah. Because right now it'd been, if you didn't move your clock up Saturday night, it would now be 9 o'clock. So instead of 10 o'clock. So, right. Yeah. Yeah. Because we sprang up. We went from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So if you moved your clock up, yeah. Yeah. Just, yeah. Yeah, and most of it you don't have to move. I had to move a microwave and my oven. So, and that's only because they're probably 227 years old. So, anyways, but no, not really. They're not that old. But actually, my oven's not too old at all, really. I mean, that's the reality of that. But or the microwave, because I had to replace all those a few years ago. Probably about 5 years ago now. So had an incident with a generator around the house. So, but anyway, and I nuked a couple of our electronic appliances around the house with some backfeed issues. So, yeah, that was an expensive lesson. Da, 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 da. So that's when you learn about clean power versus not clean power on a generator. So that could be very important, but we're not talking about generators today. Hope everybody had a good weekend. We had a good weekend. Tab and I she took me on a dinner train experience. That was really cool. First time I'd ever done that. And I don't know if you've got that in your area or not, or if you've ever done it, but that was a really neat experience. I would suggest that somebody tries that. It was really fun. It was a 2 hour excursion we went on, and it was about a 35-mile trip, I think is what they said it was. And it was fun. I'd never been on a train other than a train at the zoo, and um, this was really a neat adventure to say the least. It was the food was better than I thought. The atmosphere was better than I thought. It was really comfortable inside the train. Just sitting at a four top table is what it amounted to. We got paired up with somebody else that was on this adventure, but every table seats four, and we had a good little time. It was really, really neat. And I got a bunch of friends out in Bardstown, and one of them actually lives next to the railroad track. I didn't realize they were that close to it because I've never been to their house and saw and paid attention to the railroad track behind their neighbor's house. But when we rode through there Saturday afternoon, I was like, oh man, there's Scott and Carla's house. So I text them. And said, man, we just went by your house. And Scott's like, cool, I'll be listening for you all to come back because it blows their horn at all the crosses. So he says, I don't know, about 45 minutes later, we're coming back. And he's like, I hear y'all coming, man. He said, we'll be out there. So they came out, went across their neighbor's yard, was there next to the racetrack, the railroad track, waving when we went by, him and Carla. And that was really cool, man. I was like, damn, man, I didn't realize y'all were right there on top of that. So it was really neat. It was a good fun time, and it was cool. Tried getting a picture of him, but we were just passing and it didn't work out. But it was cool. Him and Carl out there waving. So I doubt they're listening to us today, but if you are, that was pretty cool. Just so you know. So that was really fun. That was really fun. So my whole point is, if you haven't done it, you ought to try to do that sometime. Really good. And actually, since we've done that, Tabitha and I both have been getting sponsored ads on our phone for different dinner train excursions, even in different states surrounding us here in Kentucky. So your phone's always listening. Phone's always listening. So you never know. You never know. And then so that's what we did Saturday. That was like a brunch thing we did, and that was really fun. And came home, watched a little basketball, watched quite a bit of girls basketball actually, and men's basketball. So the tournament's going on. So that there was some good basketball this weekend if you like basketball. And then Brooklyn, my granddaughter, she was in a big old volleyball tournament this weekend, and they did really well. I mean, there were like a ton of teams in this from a lot of different states that came into play, and they end up winning or coming in third in their bracket. They were in the gold bracket. So they had a really good Saturday, got into the gold bracket, and came in third out of the teams in the gold bracket. So that's all right. Hey, you know what? I mean, it's cool to win, but, coming in third in a gold bracket is, better than coming in first and 4 or 5 brackets below, my opinion, just to get the competition, is what I think's cool. So, had a really good weekend. So, and congratulations to Brooklyn and her volleyball this weekend. They had a really great weekend, and from what I understand, she played really well. Didn't get to go see her play this weekend, but sounds like she had a really good weekend at it, and looking forward to her next one. And also, then Sunday we went up to see Tab's grandkids for a little while. And we went by to see Holly for a second. I actually didn't get to see Holly. Took her some boxes. She's getting ready to move. They're moving from a townhome to a house, and here shortly. So we took her some boxes up. So looking good. Mike said he played inline hockey tournament in Henderson, Tennessee, Saturday and Sunday. Yay, you go, buddy. And said they were representing the Vet City Stingrays, adult travel team. Yay, so good deal, man. We got to see Mike when he comes up here to play hockey. What did he say? He was coming up in April, I
Yeah,
think. Daniel's what he told
27th,
us.
24th, I think, through
So
27th, I think is what he's
so
texted me.
we'll
So I'm
see
on I'm on his
how that
I got
is.
his
So
calendar.
yeah,
Let's get
we'll
on the
look forward
calendar.
to that. I'm looking forward to that. And then Matt guy here, they went down to Georgia, played little softball this weekend, and they end up placing third in their bracket. So everybody had a good weekend. Everybody seems to have a pretty good weekend. Katie got her windows in at her house, so everything got a lot of stuff done. It sounds like, and hopefully you had some fun too. Let's see. Mike said they placed third out of 16 teams from all over the East Coast and Southern states.
Nice.
Team they lost to went on to win the championship. But,
There
well,
you go.
hey, at least they played a good team. Yeah, got beat by a good team. Ever, everybody plays third. Ha ha. See? Yeah, that's true, man. It is crazy. Everybody came in a third week, come in third week around here, and yeah. So hey, maybe everybody moves up the ladder next time around, right? But got an interesting topic we're going to talk about today. We'll get to that in just a minute. But I wanted to give everybody a big shout out on a kickoff on a new season. Da 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 da. We got out this morning and got out. We're doing pre-emergent today, throwing several crews at getting pre-emergent out and trying to get as much out as we can, as fast as we can, and get this round one done so we can start spraying broadleaf weed control as soon as possible. Are we getting quite a few calls on chickweed and henbit and a couple dandelions and just it is what it is. Funny thing about it is, it's supposed to be really warm pretty much all this week. Uh, I think 70s today uh, and then back into the 40s, I think Thursday or something, and then warm up again and like 73 Sunday. We're going out there a little bit, but then Sunday night, Monday, snow showers. I think the last preliminary input we got from BAM was maybe half inch of snow Monday. So we'll see. It'll be a grass snow. It'll be one of those snows, where you're out, and you guys have done it too, where, you're out trying to do mulch or, do some landscape work or do some leaves or whatever. And you get these snow showers that come rolling through and you're like, oh my God, come on. It's time to move along. So, yeah, so we're going from 73 on Sunday to a cold front rolling through and bringing some snow showers on the backside. So, anyways, just Mother Nature letting us know that we really haven't transitioned to spring yet. Uh, although I can't think of what they call it. It's like March 1st isn't the first day of spring, but it's I don't know if they call it the meteorological first day of spring.
Hmm.
Because it's actually what March 20th, I think,
20 something, yeah.
is like the
21st,
first
22nd,
day of
probably.
spring. But it's whatever. They got names for all of it. But meteorological is March 1st. Astronomical is the 20th. Oh, that's the equinox.
21st.
Okay, the 21st. So anyway, so there's your two different separators on that. Woohoo! Feel better already. Thank you, Katie, for looking that up so fast. And Katie's got a new headset for the phone rocking today. So we'll see how she likes that after a day or so and see how that works. So looking forward to that. So keep her more focused, she thinks. So we'll see how that works. So yeah, well, keep us. Well, we will. I think it'll be easier. Yeah, she didn't say it. She didn't say keep her more focused. She says I didn't say that, but I think it'd be easier. Just clicking a button, and talking. I don't know. I've never used a headset, quite honestly. I tried one time many years ago, and when I was answering the phone and doing all that in here myself and wearing all the hats, but I don't know. A little confusing for me, but I think Katie's got the aptitude more than me to balance all that, honestly. But I did try it for a bit. So, Daniel, what'd y'all do this week? Anything fun?
Didn't do anything. Nope. Just stayed inside.
Nothing
Went
much.
outside a little bit yesterday, but
Yeah, it was nice yesterday, wasn't it?
yeah.
Golly, man! I tell you what, I was like, ta-da, man! It's really nice.
Yeah, it was nice. So other than that,
No
though, just
doubt.
stayed inside pretty much Saturday
Almost
with the
took
rain
my.
and
Did you take your covers off your patio stuff?
uh-uh.
Didn't you? I almost uncovered my table yesterday, and I thought, no, I'm gonna leave it covered up maybe for another week.
Well, I got to cover mine every time I use it, so if I'm not going to be
Oh,
out
do
there.
you? You just keep them covered.
Yeah.
I got you. And that's better for your furniture.
Well, mine's in the direct sun too all the time, where
Yeah,
yours is in the shade a lot of it at
a
least.
lot of the day. Yeah. So, anyways, so yeah, we're looking forward to using the deck and hopping out on the grill and getting that whole thing going again. Gosh, just seems like we were just covering it up. So here we go, uncovering it, not looking at that big glob of snow on it, you know.
Yeah.
And here we go. Spring has sprung. So, with that being said, let's take a short break. Curious if you guys are making your applications yet in your markets where you're at. So, this is our first day out. We're really glad to be able to get out and start that because just getting it kicked off. It seems like once you get going, then you're okay. And then we try to get this done relatively in short order on round one. Throwing some extra resources at it, we'll try to have this done within about 3 weeks if we can. Generally we're on a 5 to 6 week cycle, but we throw additional resources at it, trying to get it down so we can get into that liquid application round with our broadleaf weed control. So we'll see how that goes. And I'll keep you guys posted. Y'all keep me posted how it's going for you too, and what you're into. What are y'all doing this week? You know, I know one thing that some of us are doing are sitting back and panicking a little bit. And when I say panicking a little bit, when you're watching fuel prices, go crazy, and it is what it is. I mean, and we're not going to get the behind scenes of what's causing that. Everybody's got their own opinion on that, and we're not going to get into that. But just God bless all of our troops is what I've got to say about that. And anybody involved in trying to do what we're doing. So, but the sidebar to that is fuel pricing is significantly jumped up the last week, and a lot of contractors are panicking as normal. But the reality of it is you don't have to panic the way a lot of guys are panicking. And it's bad, but it doesn't have to be. Number one, it doesn't have to be a profit killer. Let me say that. Can it be? Absolutely. Absolutely so. But one thing for sure, and I got this from a buddy of mine. He said, this is definitely the definition of chuck in a truck has been answered. And if that answer is just raise fuel prices, and there's your answer. And I'm just not going to bring the guy's name up because I don't want him to. Uh, he's just I'm just not going to because I don't want it to influence their products or services that they offer. But the reality of it is, it does bring about the definition of chuck in a truck, and That's not derogatory as it sounds, or I certainly don't want it to be taken that way. What it really means is you just don't know what you don't know. And the good here's what I want to do. I want this to turn the light on for good for everybody. You know, why and I'm gonna ask it as a question, but I know the answer. So whatever that is, I'm not sure. They call that was that where you'll say rhetorical or something when you know
Yes.
the answer. But why do you worry about fuel? And I mean, I know why you worry about fuel. I can hear you thinking, well, Wayne, that's one of the dumbest things you've ever said. But we worry about fuel because we see it as a direct cost, right? Well, what's the difference between fuel cost and maintenance and downtime and repairs and replacement cost and financing cost? It's because You don't know about those. Same thing, the uncertainty of fuel, but you see the fuel affects your pocketbook every time you go to the pump. But you don't give, and again, I say this with all due respect, you don't give all those other expenses in your business the same respect that you give fuel cost because it affects you immediately and right now. So maybe this turns the light on for you for good in your business that says, I have to have a cost recovery system in place for my business. I've got to know what not only my direct and indirect costs are and what falls under each category, but I pay attention to fuel costs because when I pull in to get fuel every day, I get my credit card out or my debit card out or miss the cash that I've got paid that day, and I'm giving that money right back to somebody. Everything you do every day with your truck, your trailer, your skid steer, your lawnmowers, your blowers, your string trimmers, your edgers, your hedge trimmers, fill in the blank. They have those expenses associated with them every day. Maybe not fuel, but they've got depreciation. They got salvage value. They got estimated years of life. All the things that are cost per hour of operation. I share that with you because I want this to be the light turner oner. If that's even makes, I know the grammar's not good, but let that turn the light on for you moving forward. That, you know what, I need to understand all my expenses as well as I'm understanding fuel costs, because fuel cost is directly affecting my pocket right now when all these other expenses associated with cost per hour of operation, a minimum cost that you need to come up with to trim hedges or mow a lawn or spray a lawn or aerate a lawn or seed a lawn or treat a lawn, you know, they've got all these expenses associated on a daily basis. But we let the market set the price for all that, and we say, well, the competitor's charging that, I got to be competitive. But you're not going into the gas station and saying, damn, man, you know, if fuel was $2.66 last week, it's $3.19 this week, you know, man, what am I going to do? Well, number one, let's look at some options. Number one, get rid of all your fossil fuel equipment and go to battery. Hey, there's an idea. Or, hey, let's go to robotic mowing. There's another idea. Now, that's so, hey, maybe we go to all these robotic mowers, like John uses a ton of them up there in Pennsylvania, you know. There's an idea. Or if you don't want to do that, which those are both very good opportunities, right? Those are all really good opportunities. But if you say, hey, well, I can't afford to switch to robotic mowers and I can't afford to switch to battery operated equipment, even though the only reason you say that is because you don't know how to calculate your costs. Same thing I'm talking about fossil fuel recovery here today on my show. And it's going to get a little bit confusing here in a minute, but it's not confusing if you understand the numbers side of your business. But it seems like when you're looking at social media and you're reading everybody talking about fuel cost and how crazy it is and, oh, my God, what are we going to do? I want that to be the light that turns on for each and every contractor that's listening to this live and on the podcast version. Let that turn the light on that says, hey, I need to have a cost recovery system in place. I need to understand what I'm budgeting for fuel. How am I budgeting my fuel cost? At what price per gallon? How am I budgeting my depreciation cost? How am I budgeting my financing cost? You know, how am I budgeting my fuel, maintenance, repairs, My oil changes, how am I budgeting, all those things. But we don't think about those things as hard as we look at fuel because it's not a direct daily cost. And if you did have a better handle on it, what you'd be doing right now is not panicking. Because, like this one thing on social media that somebody sent me, and I feel sorry for this guy. I really do, because I was this guy at one point, and I'm not making fun. But it's a very valid point. He said, so if gas goes from $3 to $4 this season, that's a 33% increase. How much are we increasing price to accommodate? If I'm at $60 minimum now, the new minimum goes to $79.80. I don't think that's happening. That's just somebody that don't know and don't understand cost per hour of operation. Because, first of all, just because you have a 33% or whatever increase in fuel cost, that does not mean your overall cost per hour of operation are increasing 33%. Now, if you want to understand this better, you just need to implement a cost recovery system. And it doesn't have to be ours at Profits Unlimited. Ours is very simple. Ours is very simple. It's a single page spreadsheet for trucks, trailers, lawnmowers, string trimmers, blowers, and with all your expenses accounted for and taken in to consideration, including fuel. So if, for an example, you're calculating fuel cost, it's like when we sat down and calculated fuel cost for our service this year, all right, we were at $4.25 a gallon is what we estimated the high fuel potential to be. Now, I'm not saying that's what you have to use. I'm just saying if you've got the ability to budget and understand how to budget, and everybody's got the ability, just most of us don't do it, but you're looking for a methodology to do cost recovery, what you find out is when you look at this know why you charge what you charge sheet and you're going through that, it's like what I did just for the fun of it today to prepare myself for the show. I just went through and changed our fuel cost on some of our sheets, just for an example to talk about today. I went from $4 to $5 or $3.50 to $4 or whatever. Fill in the amount on where you think it's going to max out. Okay. But our pre bump in fuel cost was done predominantly at $4 or $4.25 a gallon. All right. So what did that mean for us? Well, what that means for us at Wayne's Lawn Service, until fuel cost goes over $4.25 a gallon, we're calculating and our profit margin's not changing. That's why it's important to know that you got to budget these kind of things. Yeah, it stinks that fuel cost is up to $3.19 a gallon in our market, and who knows how high it's going to go. But all we got to do is go in and just one number. And I went in and did that just to give you guys an example. I went in and adjusted one number, the fuel on a truck, for an example, right? Because the cost of the truck didn't change. The financing term on the truck didn't change. The maintenance on the truck's not changing, right? The number of oil changes is not changing. The estimated mileage is not going to change at this point. We're just getting started on the year. So the only number that we need to change at this point, potentially, if we want to, and what I did for this example was I took fuel cost from $4 a gallon to $5 a gallon, and that resulted in 11 cents per mile net change, or 8% change. Now, that gives me a much easier number to manage and know that, okay, at what point do we want to start bidding our jobs differently? What do we think fuel's going to max out at? But what we're not doing here at Wayne's Lawn Service, because we have these cost recovery sheets and our fuel's already been calculated at $4 a gallon, we don't have to worry about any work at this point that's been pre-sold because we understand the number side of it. Now, what it does mean is our margin, that extra margin that we're putting in our pocket until fuel does hit $4 a gallon on those particular jobs, is being reduced, but we're still hitting our targeted margin, if that makes sense. In other words, hey, if we want an 18% margin on mowing, let's say, I'm not saying that's the right number for everybody. I'm just saying whatever you want your net margin to be, calculate that with your cost and your fuel cost at the high that you think it may be. And then when fuel cost goes up for whatever reason that it's influenced up, then your bids are still okay. But just because fuel cost goes up 33%, like this guy said, hey, man, it went from $3 to $4, I can't go from $60 to $79 as a minimum. Well, absolutely no, you don't have to. The reality of it is when I went through these sheets and did a truck, let's see, Daniel, I got another one here where I did a blower, okay. A blower on cost per hour of operation going from $4 a gallon to $5 a gallon increased the cost per hour 5 cents. Went from $6.95 to $7. Fuel cost went up $1 a gallon, 25%, right? Went from 4 to 5, that's 25%. So fuel cost went up 25% over our high budgeted amount, right? But the net change is not a 25% change in our bidding process. So then I went through and I did some hedge trimmers, some mowers, some string trimmers. Because what happens when you understand cost recovery and you're putting together a sheet, we have what we call putting it all together sheet, for an example, where your truck, your trailers, your lawnmowers, your string trimmers, your blowers, your labor cost, your additional overhead, all your break even, your desired profit margin, everything's listed as a line item off these sheets. So the bottom line is, even though fuel costs may change 25%, 30%, 40%, whatever it ends up changing, who knows where it's going to max out at. In this scenario right now, taking it even to $5 a gallon on our bid sheets that we're currently using, it's a net 13.5% change on an hour, if that makes sense. So now, if you've got a minimum on a lawn, let's say you've got a $50 minimum because you say, hey, I can do 3 lawns in an hour, that 13.5% isn't a 13.5% change because you're not selling a whole hour of service to somebody, right? You're selling a portion of that hour to somebody, unless it's multiple hours. And if it's multiple hours, you're selling a full number. If it's 10 labor hours, then you are selling 10 hours of use on that piece of equipment to that customer. But if it's a minimum stop, something less than an hour, right? Say, hey, my minimum yard takes me 16 minutes to mow, let's say. Okay. And of that, you got 15 minutes of runtime. Well, that's 15 minutes is 0.25% of an hour. So then you need 0.25 of 13.5% fuel change cost. So I said it was going to sound and get a little bit confusing, and it's only sounding confusing because you're not looking at the same sheets I'm looking at. But when you're looking at a sheet and you just go in and make one line item change, it's very clear in black and white that a 30% increase in fuel cost does not represent a 30% increase in cost per hour of operation. And that's why we're not going to panic. And that's why companies that understand their numbers aren't going to panic. You're not going to like it, but you're going to know how to deal with it, number one. And you're going to know how to implement into your next job you bid strategy, number two. In other words, if we think, and we'll sit back and we'll talk about it here, if we think fuel costs are going to go above $4 a gallon and stay there for an extended period of time, we will certainly go in and adjust our fuel cost on these sheets for real and adjust our pricing. But the reality of it is a lot of people are panicking because they don't understand cost, and they're like, oh my God, fuels went from $3 a gallon or $2.50 a gallon to $3.50 a gallon. And it's probably going to $4.25 a gallon. Man, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't raise my prices 35%. You don't have to raise them 35%. You only have to raise them 35% in the world of the unknown because you don't know what you don't know about why you're charging what you're charging. So if you want to take the guesswork out of that and have a complete understanding of how all your expenses come into the fold of calculating what your break even point is and what that cost per hour of operation is and how to establish a minimum. Hell, I've been talking about it since 1990. But once you understand that each and every number that is an input on your sheet, in other words, hey, what'd you pay for that lawnmower? Is it financed or paid for? How many oil changes a year are you making? How much maintenance on average do you have in a year? How many hours of use do you have on it so you can determine how many gallons of consumption you're going to have so we can calculate fuel costs based at a given cost per gallon? Even on our spreadsheet, it's kind of fun and we do it for humor, but when you enter the cost per gallon, a little box pops up and says good luck. Because we're throwing a dart at what what we think fuel costs are going to be. But what it does, it gives you the peace of mind of knowing that, hey, this is what we've set as a maximum level of fuel cost. And we're out there pricing our jobs based on that $4 a gallon versus the $2.66 a gallon where it was at, or even the $3.19 or $3.09 a gallon where it's at right now in our market. And I'm sure it's probably going to go up some more. But I also was reading an article today that says that wherever this oil's coming from, the Strait of whatever it is, they said is likely to be back open within 7 to 10 days. So it may be a short-term problem, and it may be a long-term problem. I'm not here to debate that. But if you want a long-term solution to how to bid a job properly, we've got the answer in our know why you charge what you charge spreadsheets. And you don't have to be an accountant to understand them. You just fill in the blanks of, hey, what'd you pay for something? How many weeks a year are you mowing? How many hours a week are you mowing? Because we got to calculate hours of use so we can come up with fuel and maintenance, right? Oil changes based on hours. So each number that you deal with on a daily basis is just as important as your fuel cost. But fuel cost is the one that 99% of the industry pays attention to when something like this happens because it's the only number they have a handle on and understand. Is that fair, Daniel?
Yeah.
It's an easy number to see and understand.
It's just like any other supply, right? Like mulch price goes up, you understand that. Plant prices go up, you understand that. Anything you're buying kind of at once and like you see the receipt and that's the price, it's freaks people out.
Yeah. And that's why they understand that. And again, this
Well,
is
they think they
they
understand it.
think they understand it. And this is not, and again, please don't anybody take this as criticism. This is just simply hoping that the light turns on for you to understand how important it is to have a cost recovery system in place all the time within your business. Because when you're out there crying about fuel costs like everybody's doing right now, it's only because you haven't sat down and figured out before today. And like I said, all it boils down to is none of us like fuel costs going up. But if you had a budget in place that said, hey, this is what I think our fuel costs are going to be, but here's where it's at, and here's where I think it's going, it's a whole lot easier number to work with. No, I don't like that fuel's going up to $3.20 a gallon and maybe $4 a gallon. Hell, nobody knows where it's going to stop. Maybe it's going to be $20 a gallon. Who knows? But what I do know is you got the ability to calculate what you think it's going to be to come up with your minimum pricing on a job or an hourly rate to do a job. But just because fuel goes up 30% does not mean the cost of the job goes up 30%. The fuel cost is one portion of that job. You've got the fuel, the maintenance, the repairs, the financing cost on equipment if it's financed, the replacement of that equipment if it is paid for, it's got to be replaced at some point. So you got all these other expenses going along, the same as your fuel cost. But why do we all understand fuel cost? Because it's a direct out of pocket expense right now. We don't look at our trucks and our trailers and say, damn, that truck's costing me $8.42 an hour to sit on that job for 4 hours. That's $37 for that truck cost in depreciation and maintenance sitting on that job for 4 hours. But that's how, when you understand cost, that's how you think about it. But when you don't, the only thin number you look at is fuel. And because fuel is something you see every day, like I said, that you pull up to the gas station, you get money out of your pocket, you buy the fuel, and yes, it is a big expense. But the main thing I want you guys to take away is treat each and every expense in your business the same as your fuel cost and know what it is. And if you need help understanding that, we can help you with it. You know, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. So let's take a short break. And hey, yeah, fuel cost is very, very important. Very, very frustrating when you see it going through the roof like it is. And, add fuel surcharges. That's one reason why we estimate our fuel cost higher than where we think it's going. I mean, that was pre-war for us, right? When we, went at 4.25 a gallon. And we may bump that up a little bit. We'll see how it does the next week or so, for future bids. But my whole point's this: it's a budget item, and it needs to be a budget item. And if you're not familiar with how to do it, you need to certainly learn how to do that. And if you want something simple, again, our know why you charge what you charge cost sheets, whether you're a one truck operation or a multi-crew company, walk you right through the process. And if you'd like to try it, give it a try. We got a discount code for Turfs Up Radio. Just when you go to our website, type in Turfs Up Radio at checkout, and you'll get a 10% discount. Okay. Turfs Up Radio, all lowercase, is a discount code. So check it out, try it out. And what I want to wrap up on with this is this, as it relates to fuel surcharges, and that is route density. Now, route density is not going to affect how much fuel we're burning in our lawnmowers and string trimmers and blowers, for an example, or Z sprays or whatever type of equipment we're running once we're on the job. But like I said, on a truck, we went through and we changed fuel on a truck from 4 to 5, right? Okay. Well, that was an 11-cent per mile change. So if our route density is good or better, that's less change, even though the fuel cost is higher. It's going to be less overall change because we have a tighter route. And that's when you really start looking at, hey, how far should I be running around? How does it make sense to go 14 miles, out of my normal route to go do a job? Well, when you start thinking about fuel as much as you've been thinking about fuel the last few days, the reality of it says, hey, I'm going to be smarter about what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, why I'm doing it. And know that when you're watching fuel costs the way you're watching, the next step in uniform methodology on cost recovery is understanding that each and every one of the expenses in your cost per hour of operation are equally as important. Let us help you help yourself. That's all we're asking. Let us help you help yourself. Check out that know why you charge what you charge. If you don't want to use ours, that's fine. Use somebody's. Use somebody's. You owe it to yourself to use somebody's. But what I can tell you about ours is it's not software, so you continue to use any software you're using. But when your software says to plug in, hey, what's your cost per hour of operation? You're not just putting a number in that you don't know, and then it's trying to determine profit. You're putting a number in there that you've calculated for your company that is accurate and professional. And when it's accurate and professional, it makes it easier for you to sell it at the price it needs to be sold at. Doesn't necessarily mean it's got to be more or less. It's just sold at the right price for your company based on your overhead, your use rates, and your desired profit margins. Have a great day. Stay tuned to Turfs Up Radio all day long. And remember, profit is not a dirty word. We'll see you Wednesday.